So basically here what you need to write is write the process law. So you just have to say, so primordial germ cell mitosis spermatogonium. So very easy, you just have to say primordial germ cell undergoes mitosis to form a spermatogonium. Now, instead of just writing spermatogonium, try to include this word, a diploid spermatogonium, which is represented by the symbol here 2N. So again, for those who don't know what's diploid haploid, so I'll explain it one more time over here. So diploid, we usually use a symbol 2N to represent. Haploid, we're going to use something called N to represent. So what does that mean? So diploid basically means the full chromosome number in an organism. Haploid means half chromosome number. Okay, so basically all living organisms have full chromosome number. Every single cell, what we call as somatic cell, means all your body cells have full chromosome number inside the nucleus. Okay, haploid means half. So only reproductive cell, gametes. So we are talking about gametes now. Only gametes will have half chromosome number. All right, which is our sperm and ovum. So for example, human has 46 chromosomes. So 46 is our diploid, our full chromosome. Our gametes, our sperm and ovum definitely is going to be half haploid, 23. So when both of them fertilize, then it will combine. That's why all human beings are made up of a combination of mother and father punya genes, half from father, half from mother. Understand? And in order to become haploids, what do I need to undergo? I need to undergo meiosis. Okay. And again, for those who forget the cell division chapter, your Form 4 chapter 6, right? Okay. Meiosis, remember, there's meiosis 1 and 2, which means when a cell undergo meiosis, it won't just split once, it will split twice. So meiosis 1, meiosis 2. Okay. And remember, as soon as I undergo meiosis 1, the chromosome number will still be from 2N, 46, become N already. And when I undergo meiosis 2, I will remain haploid. Okay, so even meiosis, there's meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. As soon as I finish meiosis 1, right, remember, I will from diploid become haploid, full become half already. So at the beginning, I haven't undergone meiosis yet. That's why the number of chromosomes is still full. See, still haploid, still 2N, as you can see over here. So every time when I say I undergo a process to form something, it's better to add the diploid, haploid word in front. So I can say primordial germ cell undergoes mitosis to form a diploid spermatogonium. Then continue. G, mark gila. Gila is grow. So spermatogonium will then grow into P again, primary spermatocyte. So you just continue. You just say your spermatogonium. Okay, here I can ignore the diploid word already because just now I mentioned diploid already. So I just say, still restart, spermatogonium then grows into, okay, now I need to write the diploid again, 2N, diploid primary spermatocyte. Can so far? So then, after that, the next process, I now have primary spermatocyte over here already. Now it's M again. So mak gila macam mana. So this macam mana is basically meiosis 1, meiosis 2 . So here, meiosis 1. So as you can see in the diagram here, as soon as I undergo meiosis 1, 2N become N. Full chromosome become half. So a lot of time question like to ask over here, what is the chromosome number in secondary spermatocyte? What's the difference between primary and secondary? So basically it's from diploid become haploid. Understand? So I just continue here. My primary, let me shift this up a bit. Primary spermatocyte. Then you can say that undergoes meiosis 1 to form. Now, right, haploids, secondary spermatocyte. Okay, so basically everything after secondary spermatocyte is all haploid, as you can see, N. Okay, so now I undergo meiosis 2 lor. Macam mana lor, so the mana now is meiosis 2. So you can see one cell become 2, 2 become 4. Just like what I draw for you over here. So I just continue. Secondary spermatocyte, okay, I write short form here. Continue lor, undergoes now meiosis 2 to form. Again, you can write haploid spermatids. Okay, so now it's almost complete already. I'm almost becoming a sperm already. So now what I have is a spermatid. Okay, ignore the early word lah. Okay, lah. So the spermatid is basically a fully formed sperm already. There's just one thing lacking, a body and a tail. So sperm needs a tail for them to what? For them to swim, for them to propel towards the ovum. Correct? Yeah. So don't use the word swim. Fish swim in water, sperm we say propel. So now I need to undergo a process called differentiation. The last process here, which is actually there's one more process here, D, to become a mature sperm, an actual sperm, whereby I'm going to form a tail. So lastly, you can say okay, use another color for the last sentence. Spermatid basically now undergoes differentiation. This differentiation is different than the one using in AdMaths. So AdMaths also there's one differentiation, is not the same. Okay, so differentiation basically to form a tail to become a sperm cell. And that's how guys produce sperm. Yeah. So basically this process occurs every single day in guys' punya testes. Okay, up to 100 millions of sperm are produced every single day. Yes, 100 millions. Okay, a lot. Understand? And not 100 million, 100,000, not million. 100 million a bit too many already. So 100,000. Okay, so yep, that is spermatogenesis. So actually very simple, very straightforward. Now, questions very seldom will ask you to explain the whole process. It might ask you to explain the whole thing in essay, but usually they like to ask, ask the process in structure. Like maybe they ask what's process X over here or what's process Y over here. Okay, they ask you a label structure P over here. Then you need to know what it is law. So just remember, whenever they give you the diagram over here, they will actually blank out all the names. So you just need to remember law PS, PS, SS. Okay, guys like to play sex, sex, and then mark gila macam mana plus differentiation. Okay, right. So this one done. Now, straight away we'll do female one. Production of ovum called oogenesis. So girls, as always a bit more extra than guys one. Okay, even plants also. Okay, for those who came my class this week, last week one. Okay, in plants also the female always is like more. So in real life, right, girls right is always slightly more mafan than that one. Okay, they want more things, right? Because you see, the formation of gamete also a bit extra one. Okay, kidding. Okay, don't hit me now. So oogenesis basically is the production of ovum. Understand? So yeah, the name is called oogenesis. That's how we pronounce it, oogenesis. So the processes here actually exactly the same like guys. Mark gila macam mana. Okay, I don't have space here. I just write in an empty piece of paper here. Yeah, so remember, mark gila macam mana. This is the processes. Okay, for the names of the cells, remember it as pops. And actually got one more here lah, which I become the ovum in the end lah. So ovum, that one we know lor. So pops, ovum, mark gila macam mana. But you might think it's that simple only, but like say girls, right, always got more pattern one. Okay, whereby you can see, right, girls punya oogenesis, production of gamete, right, is actually divided into 3 stages, which is number 1, before birth. Okay, you can write down here, write smaller a bit because I think quite a lot of things we need to write here. I get not enough space, so just write smaller. Okay, before birth. Another one is after puberty. So basically, all girls, if you don't know by now, right, your ovum begins to form before you're even born, which means when you are a fetus inside your mother's womb, inside your mother's stomach at time, your ovum already start to produce. So remember, okay, I write down here again, pops, mak, gila, macam mana. So I'm going to start with P. Same thing, just like guys, I'm going to start off as a primordial germ cell. Okay, for the right-hand side one, this follicle, we ignore first. Later, I will explain to you what is that if you don't know. But if you don't know what's that, I'll explain in a while. So we go through the process first. So same thing, primordial germ cell, I begin as a primordial germ cell, sorry, here first. And then first thing you can see, I undergo mitosis to become what we call as oogonium. So just now, guys, one was spermatogonium. So you change the sperma into oogo. Only. So oogonium. So simple. The process very simple only. I mean the explanation. Starting, you just have to say primordial germ cell undergoes mitosis to become oogonium. Done. And then next, you can see also the same. So at the beginning is very similar to guys, very simple only. Grow to become primary oocyte. So very simple only. Oogonium. Oh yeah, remember the word diploid. So I haven't undergo meiosis, so I'm still diploid. So always try to remember to include the word diploid. So oogonium then undergoes, or just say grows up, then grows into sperma. What's sperma again? Primary oocyte. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, can correct. So now we're done with mitosis, become oogonium, growth become primary primary oocyte. Sorry, we're kissing spermatocyte. Okay, and once again, I forget again. Yeah, you must write diploid. So I haven't undergo meiosis. I still have full chromosome, still diploid. Okay, so now the girl punya pattern haven't come out. Okay, it's like, let's say when you have girlfriend that time, right, the pattern not so fast show first. At first, it's like quite normal. After that, the pattern slowly come out. Right? Okay, so now when I become primary oocyte, right, okay, then now patterns start to come out already. So I undergo meiosis 1. Okay, not the primary oocyte undergo meiosis 1, but it was stopped at prophase 1. So remember, right, the cell division stages, you have promet, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. So prophase is the first phase. So basically, when the meiosis 1 start to undergo a bit, then it will stop. Okay, and that's basically what all you girls have right when you are born, because before birth, punya process will stop here. So you can write the third one, primary oocyte will undergo meiosis 1, but stops at prophase 1. Okay, so basically when the girl is born, she already have a certain number of primary oocyte that has stopped at meiosis 1, prophase 1. Okay, so if you think about it, right, girls, right, actually already have a fixed number of primary oocyte inside her ovary. So inside her ovary, she already have a lot of primary oocyte that stop halfway already at prophase, meiosis 1, prophase 1. Which means, right, if you think about it, girls, right, can only produce a fixed number of ovum. So when a girl is born, right, if you take out the girl ovary and count, right, you actually can count how many ovum she can produce throughout her life. Because once a girl is born, right, the girl body will not produce any more primordial germ cell, which means I only will have the fixed number of ovum based on how many I have when I'm born. That's why girls will always have what we call as menopause, once you reach around 50 years old, some plus like that, whereby the girl cannot produce ovum anymore. So this is actually one of the reasons. Okay, now, so when will the process continue? So as you can see here, the process will continue once girls reach puberty so girls reach puberty around slightly earlier than boys, around 10, 11, 12 years old, depending, right? So they say here, each month from puberty all the way to menopause, the primary oocyte now completes meiosis 1. Okay, so actually not all the primary oocyte, only one. See, completed by one primary oocyte each month. So every month, all these primary oocyte, one will be randomly selected to complete meiosis 1. Understand? So I write here, can I use another color for here? A smaller bit. Here actually need to write, okay, this part actually need to write slightly more, so write smaller. So I continue number 1 here. You can say each month, basically from puberty onwards, the one primary oocyte completes meiosis 1 to become or to form. So now meiosis 1 already, right? That's why after meiosis 1, remember the chromosome will become half already. So to form haploids, secondary oocyte. Sorry, I just read short form here, that space. Understand? So basically, for female, you can draw a line over here also. Means from meiosis 1 onwards, just like guys, I will from diploid become haploid. Now, but the weird thing over here is, okay, here's another pattern thing. So whenever in oogenesis, whenever a meiosis process occurs, right, one cell will be the useful cell, which in this case is the secondary oocyte, and the other cell will be useless one. Just like in plants like that. Okay, so the other cell will be useless, which is called a polar body. So polar body is just no use one, no function one. Understand? So you can say form a haploid secondary oocyte, and you can say N, the first polar body. But this one actually not too important, this part. But you remember, you just write because I'll produce a cell that's no function one called the first polar body. And then now the secondary oocyte, I already complete meiosis 1, isn't it? To become secondary oocyte. Right? So now meiosis 2. So just to say secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis 2. And again, like I say, meiosis process in female will not go all the way. Right? You go, stop, go, stop, go, stop. So now also will stop halfway. Stop at. So remember we have promet. So now you stop at the second phase. Metaphase 2. Understand? So one way to remember is like this. So you remember there's meiosis, you have meiosis 1, meiosis 2. And in each meiosis process, you have 4 phases. You have promet, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. So for meiosis 1, I will stop at the first phase, prophase. Meiosis 2, I will stop at metaphase. That's right, metaphase 2. Okay? It's that simple. Now, once I stop at metaphase 2, right, Now I will explain slightly. What's all these follicles? Now, follicles are basically a type of cell that surrounds the oocyte. Means from primordial germ cell onwards, right? There's always a tiny cells surrounding all of the cells that we mentioned just now, which are called follicle. Follicle is the cell that develop the oocyte. Understand? So when the follicle develop, then only the oocyte can develop. For example, when primary follicle becomes secondary follicle, then only primary oocyte can undergo meiosis, finish the meiosis one to become secondary follicle. Now, as soon as I here stop at metaphase 2, meiosis 2, the secondary follicle, which is surrounding the secondary oocyte, will become a Graafian follicle. Whereby the difference is, right, Graafian follicle is just slightly more mature punya follicle. So you can see even the structure also got difference, right? Whereby you can see Graafian follicle, there's more space inside it. So that is the Graafian follicle. Very easy to recognize in your exam questions, right? Okay, so this is the Graafian follicle surrounding the secondary oocyte that has stopped at meiosis 2, metaphase 2 inside it. Understand? So whenever you see got empty space there, that is the Graafia and the secondary oocyte that stopped these two. Understand? Can Now, so we're gonna add that point over here lah. So you can say now, the secondary follicle then develops into Graafian. Okay, Graafian actually the G need to capital. Somehow is a kata nama khas Graafian follicle. And then once I have the Graafian follicle and the secondary oocyte inside, right? The next thing you can see, look at the diagram here. The next thing will occur is this. Who can tell me what process is this? So actually here also got answer already lah. It's called ovulation. So right now, the Graafian follicle is going to release the secondary oocyte out from the ovary. Understand? So this is what girls undergo every single month. Ovulation, where I produce the secondary oocyte. So every time when we say girl produce ovum, actually I don't exactly produce ovum, I produce secondary oocyte. Later only we develop into ovum, okay, which I'll explain. So this is called ovulation, which occurs in girls every single month, whereby the Graafian follicle gonna release the secondary oocyte. So you can add one more explanation over here, whereby during ovulation, the Graafian follicle, okay, GF Graafian follicle, you can say releases the secondary oocyte. Okay, again, I will show from here, SO secondary oocyte out of ovary, or release secondary oocyte from ovary also can. Yeah, so if you look at number 3 and number 4 here, slightly not related to the overall process. The Mak Gila Macam Mana process not involved. But you need to explain it, like if they ask you to explain the whole oogenesis process, because it's part of the process as well. That basically this is what all of you girls undergo at every single month from puberty onwards. Understand? So you're going to produce a secondary oocyte. So then when does it become the ovum that we always mention? So in order for it to become ovum, it depends on the third phase, whether it occurs or not, which is fertilization. Yes, so if got sperm come and fertilize the secondary oocyte, then only it becomes ovum. So again, every time we say sperm fertilize ovum is not exactly accurate. Sperm actually fertilize the secondary oocyte. Understand? So what we're going to write here is just no law when fertilization occur or not, what will happen. So we assume now, let's say if fertilization occurs. As you can see here, if got sperm come and fertilize the secondary oocyte, meiosis 2 will be complete, and therefore I become the ovum, means I finish splitting, become ovum, and I produce another useless cell, the polar body. Okay, so we just say if fertilization occur, secondary oocyte completes meiosis 2 to form an ovum, and also the second polar body, second useless cell. And then actually within a few minutes like that, or a few seconds like that, this ovum will still become a zygote, because sperm, male, female gamete fertilized, it becomes zygote. Yeah, so actually I become an ovum for like basically a few seconds, then I actually develop into a zygote, which eventually become embryo and then fetus. Understand? So what if fertilization doesn't occur? Okay, just like I left out one thing. Okay, now we come back over here. After ovulation, right, the Graafian follicle, which releases the second oocyte, right, the Graafian follicle will become, as you can see here, will become something called a corpus luteum. Alright, corpus luteum actually is needed during pregnancy, which later in the menstrual cycle we explain what is its actual function. Okay, so Graafian follicle becomes something corpus luteum, which actually produces a hormone that helps in pregnancy later on. So if fertilization does not occur, basically the secondary oocyte along with this corpus luteum will be gone, will degenerate. Because as I said, corpus luteum needed for pregnancy. If pregnancy doesn't occur, corpus luteum got no function already. So it will just break down. So the opposite situation, if the fertilization does not occur, you can say secondary oocyte and the corpus luteum got no use already, right? So we can say degenerate. And that is the end already, Understand? Yeah, so you can see the process is slightly longer, not slightly longer, it's much more longer compared to the male. Okay, so but at the beginning, right, it's the same first law. So just remember POPS pops, then the process undergo is marked gila macam mana. So first P, primordial germ cell, undergoes here lah. Okay, so you use here lah. Okay, so first I begin as a primordial germ cell. I undergo mitosis to become oogonium. And then I grow to become primary spermatocyte. After that, I will undergo meiosis 1, but I will stop at prophase 1. So basically, this is what a girl has when she's born. Okay, and then from puberty onwards, the primary oocyte will complete meiosis 1 to become secondary oocyte. And then I will undergo meiosis 2, but stop at metaphase 2. So when will I complete this process? Basically, I have to wait if fertilization occur. So if fertilization occur, I complete meiosis 2, finally become ovum. Okay, understand, Ken, right? So if understand already, I think we can do a little bit of questions first before we go to the next part, menstrual cycle. Okay, so actually my aim today is to do spermatogenesis, oogenesis, and also menstrual cycle. If you got extra time, then of course we can try to do more. But my aim is menstrual cycle until menstrual cycle. So can anyone got any questions so far? Understand, right? So make sure you write this down already. Now, if you've done so already, come, let's do a question. Let's start from question 1. Behind the notes there, page 9. Let me drink a bit coffee first. Okay, we come here. Come. So you can see here shows a spermatogenesis process. You can see the diagram over here, right? It's just like the diagram I showed you that we have in front. So you can see I begin as a primordial germ cell, then process, change, become a sperm in the end. So you can see all here they leave blank. They didn't label the process, they didn't label the name of the cell. So you need to determine yourself. Okay. So just remember, in guys it's PS, SS, and then the process same mark gila macam mana. Okay, so you label yourself first. Okay, now we do questions. So first one, explain the process that occurs during stage U. So who can tell me what is stage U? So primordial germ cell become X, then stage U. So stage U, yes, Anson, very good. It's no, not mitosis, wrong. Anson, see properly, not mitosis. Yeah, it's actually growth. Yeah, so some of you already mentioned it's growth, correct? So because M is here, mark gila ma. So X, PS, so primordial germ cell will become spermatogonium. So X is actually spermatogonium. Yeah, so explain the process that occurs during stage U. So very simple, you just have to say stage U is growth, so you can say the spermatogonium, or you can say structure X or cell X undergoes growth. If you say growth is one mark, if you mention what do I form is another law. To form P S P again law. So you can see 2N, so you can write a diploid primary spermatocyte. A2, explain the effect if stage W does not occur. Stage W, all right? So the last, this you fast forward to the last stage. What is that? Fast forward all the way to the last stage where I become a sperm. No, not meiosis 2. Hello. Last process, see, I form a tail. Yes, it's what? Differentiation. Okay. Okay, ma. So complete the process. You just write down everything. Okay, so here's growth already, ma. So here growth, which means here will be meiosis 1. All right, here is meiosis 2. So the last one to form tail is the differentiation process. See properly, exam no second chance. So explain the effect if W does not occur. So if no differentiation, so just now I told you, differentiation is to form what? No differentiation, obviously, I cannot form tail. Yes, and then the sperm cannot move, cannot propel towards the ovum. Exactly. So these are the 2 points. So you can say if differentiation doesn't occur, tail of sperm unable to form. So what is the problem then? Obviously, the sperm is unable to propel towards ovum. Yeah, even though sperm always fertilize secondary oocyte, right? But in general statement, right, we always can say sperm fertilize ovum. Only when we explaining the oogenesis process, we say sperm fertilize secondary oocyte. Other than that, we just generalize it as ovum usually. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but that's how it is. Now, B, explain one similarity between a sperm and an ovum. Sperm and ovum. So similarity. What is the, if I ask you, sperm ovum got what similarity left? What can I say? Both is okay. One very good answer. Haploid is correct. They are both reproductive cells. They are both gametes. Okay, a lot of you see they are both gametes. So, but if you read this, there's not much you can explain, right? Okay, don't say gametes. Say they are haploid gametes. Okay, don't just say right gametes, right? They are haploid gametes. So reproductive cell means gamete. A lot of you answer reproductive cells. Try to say this. They are both haploid gametes or haploid reproductive cell, which I prefer the word gametes, shorter. Okay, both are haploid gametes. Then you need to explain. So why are they haploid? So just now what I mentioned, what is the process they undergo to become haploid? They basically undergo meiosis. Yes, exactly. So you can say because both have undergone meiosis. Exactly. And that's why I am haploid, half chromosome. Produced in a gonad. Gonad is the reproductive organ. You can say that, but like I say, sometimes if you write the certain points, you cannot really like explain. Okay, explain. I think this one can lah. Okay, yeah, you can say so. Yeah, a very good answer also. You can say both is produced in a gonad, which is a reproductive organ. Also can, very good answer. For the explanation, then you have to pandai a bit. So how are you going to explain? You must say male sperm produced in testis. Female one is produced in ovary. Okay, so you can say sperm is produced in testis, ovum produced in ovary. So that is the explanation. Cannot? Yes, very good answer. Next one, C1. Name structure P and Q as shown in the diagram above. Structure P and Q. So I already labeled the process already, so should be no problem here, right? So P over here, Q. So this is P already, right? PS, secondary, spermatocyte, meiosis 2, before I become sperm, is the spermatid. All right, PS, SS. So spermatid, sperm is the last two. So secondary, spermatocyte, and spermatid. Yeah. C2, at which organelle is cell R being produced? Which organ? Cell R. Organ, cell R is what here? I got no R one. R, I think you should refer to the sperm lah, the whole thing lah. So obviously is where? Testis. Okay. Now, this one just now in front I did mention what? Label parts A to C, basically parts of a sperm cell. So, know how to label or not? What is A, B, and C? So A, quite obvious, right? What's this part of the sperm called? A is a very, very straightforward one. So that's obviously the tail lah. Nothing else. B, what do you call B? B is head law. Yes, very simple only. C leh? They're pointing the thing inside the head. So what's inside the head? Yes, it's the nucleus. Basically, the genes, the male punya genes, the father punya genes is inside here, inside the head, inside the nucleus. Yeah, can and one more thing, if they point over here, this part, right? Okay, if they specifically point here, this is called an acrosome, whereby it's the part that actually will produce a kind of enzyme to penetrate the ovum. Understand? And this part is called the midpiece, which is the body. Now, who can tell me what's one important thing inside the midpiece? Do you write plural or singular for the nucleus? Nucleus is already singular. Okay, nucleus is already singular. The plural of nucleus is actually nuclei. So actually in bio, nucleus, nuclei, plural, singular, not important one. Yeah, in this is bio, but not English. So they don't really catch you on this point, singular, plural. You write nucleus, nuclei also can one actually. Singular, plural doesn't matter. Just like you write testes, testes also okay one. Yeah, so by the way, come back here. What's inside a mid piece? So yes, mitochondria is what's inside your mid piece. Very good. Those who answered. All right, because sperm needs a lot of energy. So mitochondria, as we know, is to generate energy. DNA is inside nucleus, brother. DNA is always inside nucleus. Okay, DNA is inside C, inside here. So mid piece is mitochondria. Mitochondria is generate energy for basic sperm to move on. Okay, next one. Now, the mobility of sperm is aided by part A. However, there are other factors which contribute to the movement of sperm. State 2 factors which help in increasing the mobility of sperm. Now, so there are two things we help in mobility, means movement. So number one, we already mentioned which is mitochondria. Right? So we can say you can say have or has mitochondria, which obviously generates energy. You can say in the form of ATP, which is something we learned since all the way in Formula Chapter 2. Okay, so besides mitochondria helping the sperm to move the tail, helping it to swim. Remember, sperm need to swim up to 3 to 5 days from the vagina all the way to the fallopian tube there. So it needs a lot of energy. Like swim, and just keep swimming. Okay. Now, other than mitochondria, what else helps the sperm to move? Sorry, my nose very itchy. I can't scratch it. Later I'll go wash a bit. The shape, no, nothing to do with the shape. Not the aerodynamic shape, no, nothing to do with the shape. Small, no. Okay, this one just now I didn't teach you one, but inside the male punya reproductive system, right? There's actually a part that produces a kind of fluid one. It's actually the prostate gland. Okay, so before the sperm come out, right, the sperm actually passes through something called a prostate gland before the penis there, which actually secretes something called secrete fluid, kind of like clear, transparent fluid that provides energy for the sperm. Semen actually is not produced by prostate gland. Semen is actually produced by another gland called Seminal Vesicle. Is it called? Yeah, I think the name is this one. Yeah. Yeah, seminal vesicle is the one that produces semen. So semen is just is actually nutrients for the sperm to stay alive. Prostate gland is the one that produces a fluid, a type of fluid which increases, we will say, increases mobility of sperm. So a lot of us will actually, how to say, get confused between these two. Even I like previously also confused a bit. So prostate gland is produce a type of fluid. So this fluid actually only give energy only. So seminal vesicle actually is providing nutrients, which is other than energy to keep it alive. Understand? Yeah. So by the way, this part I didn't include in the notes which is over here. Okay, so prostate gland, this is the one that was mentioned just now. And you have seminal vesicle, which is over here. So you can see before the sperm from the testis comes out, you need to pass through here first. then only the sperm can come out. Okay. Now, okay, we do one oogenesis question, we go back in front. Now, question 2, I think is quite a good question over here. So this is oogenesis, whereby you can see I already put the whole oogenesis process here. Okay, you all try to do A and B first. I go toilet a while first. Okay, you do A and B first. This one, then over here. In case you don't have the notes now, I put here first. Okay, 1 minute. Next one. State structure C and structure D. So over here, you're going to look at the diagram already, right? So A, you have structure A, B, C, D, all the way until ovum. So you just label yourself first. Okay, can we label C and D first? So C and D is the structure, right? So remember, P, O, P, S. So C, what do we call that? P is what? A, primary oocyte, yeah. D, S right before ovum, right? So this is secondary oocyte. B, explain how process Y occurs that allows structure C to develop into structure Z. So how does C become D? So basically, you have to explain the process Y. Right? So what is process Y? Okay, I don't label for you already. Tell me, what's process Y? Meiosis. Shenling, what meiosis? Meiosis 1, meiosis 2, meiosis 3. Remember, meiosis got not just one process. Yes, you must say meiosis 1. If you didn't say meiosis 1 or 2, is wrong. So very important. Meiosis, you remember 1 or 2. Don't forget that. So explain how process Y occurs that allows structure C to develop. So basically, you can say structure C, which I can say primary oocyte, undergoes meiosis 1. But remember, in female, right, meiosis doesn't go all the way, right? Yes, you must say stop at prophase 1. So here is meiosis 1, but first stop at P1. Okay, why I write here? Supposed to write here. So you can say undergoes meiosis 1, but second point, stops at prophase 1. Even the phases prophase, metaphase also very specific. I need to say stop at 1 or 2. So if it's meiosis 1, I stop at prophase 1. The questions in structure D, structure D, how structure C develops before, structure D, sorry, yes, very sorry about that. This is D, sorry, structure D, sorry, correct. But stops at prophase 1. Then when will it continue? So the next one I've explained, when does it continue? Remember or not? Yes, puberty. So once a girl hits 11, 12 years old, then only the meiosis process will continue. So it will stop for basically like 10 years like that. Exactly, so stop for 10 years. So we say, can say every month from puberty onwards, meiosis 1 completes to form a, so primary becomes secondary oocyte law. Yeah, completed by one primary oocyte. Yeah, you can say one primary oocyte better. Okay, sorry. You can say meiosis 1 is completed. Can we write full a bit lah? Okay, is completed by one primary oocyte to form. So now I finish meiosis 1 already, so I become haploid or secondary oocyte. Can? So you can see exactly what we wrote in front just now. You just need to know how to apply. That's why we do questions. Okay, so if you know in front already, right? Sometimes if you don't do questions, you don't know how to apply your answers, apply your points. Okay. Next one. C and D over here. Name process Z. Process Z. Process Z. So just now was meiosis 1, right? Process Y. So obviously now process Z will be meiosis 2. So now only is meiosis 2, the last process. So you can see, right, since ovum don't have tail, right? That's why I don't undergo differentiation. That's why Mark, Gila, Macam, Mana then stop already. Don't have differentiation. Okay. Meiosis 2. Process Z does not occur completely immediately, but instead occurs only partially. State what must occur in order for process Z to be completed. So what must occur? Then only process Z can finish, which is your meiosis 2. Yes, very good. The answer is, remember, the second oocyte need to wait for development of follicle. No. So meiosis 2. Remember, I will also stop halfway, stop at what we call as metaphase 2. So what the question asks, what must occur, then only I will complete to become ovum. So now is I need to wait for sperm to come and fertilize the secondary oocyte. So the answer is fertilization. Okay, can or not? So fertilization. Because they asked what meiosis 2, how can meiosis 2 be completed? So it's not development of follicle. So when I stop, when I stop at metaphase 2 that time, right, the secondary follicle will definitely become Graafian follicle. This one is definitely will occur one. But now they're asking this one, how do I complete? So for it to complete, it depends whether got sperm or not. So every month, right, your girls punya meiosis 2 don't complete. Understand? Unless got sperm. So this process, whether got sperm or no sperm come, also will occur one. Means definitely I will form Graafian follicle one. Which is the next question they asked us. Name structure S. So whenever we see the follicle that's surrounding the oocyte inside here got a lot of empty space over here. So S will be my, yes, Graafian follicle. So inside it is my secondary oocyte that have already stopped at metaphase 2. Name process T. So process T, can see what's happening here is the process of Graafian follicle releasing out the secondary oocyte. So process T is called ovulation. Yeah. Understand? Now, the next question we haven't learned yet. So this one is more on like menstrual cycle only. You will learn one. See, name, structure, you, and explain its role during pregnancy. So for the name, we actually just now already know its name now, which is, remember, Graafian follicle eventually becomes what? So remember I told you the Graafian follicle becomes something called, yes, a corpus luteum. But for the function, now we're going to go through. So far, okay? So now we just learn how gametes are formed. So now we need to, go through the next part called menstrual cycle. So at that time of the month, okay, every girl is going to undergo this process or this phase called menstrual cycle. So throughout the menstrual cycle, there's actually one part called ovulation, whereby you're going to produce the secondary oocyte. Yeah. So just now when we mention, right, each month from puberty onwards, I will produce the secondary oocyte. So at each of this month, you actually have menstrual cycle. Then only you produce ovum. So now we're going to go through the whole process detailedly. So far, okay, huh? Okay. So menstruation, as you all know, if the question asks, explain what is menstruation. So menstruation, girls, you know, is where down there bleed. So to explain the process is because of the breaking down of the uterine wall, or you can say breaking down of the endometrium, which is simpler to write so long, and discharge of blood, tissues, epithelial tissue, and mucus through the vagina. So basically what's inside the blood, it's your broken down punya endometrium wall. Actually also got ovum, secondary oocyte, and corpus luteum inside, along with some mucus and tissues. So if you don't know what's endometrium, right, now I'm just going to draw you very simple what structure here. So girls' punya reproductive system is something like this one, right? So here is the vagina over here. Okay, then here is the ovary at the side. And you have the fallopian tube. Endometrium is basically this part over here. So during menstruation, this part is going to break down. Now, why does it break down? We're going to go through that also. Now, first, what you need to know here in menstrual cycle. Now, if you actually watch my YouTube channel, there's actually one video I did for the previous SPM batch, which is just only finished one, whereby I got explain the menstrual cycle. So in the video also I got mention, in menstrual cycle, you need to know these 4 things. Number 1, definitely you need to know the phases in menstrual cycle. So we know menstrual cycle 28 days, right? So in these 28 days, it's divided into actually 4 phases, which in a while we're going to go through. And right now, what we're going to go through in this page is what are the hormones involved in each phases, and also the function. Of course, you need to know the function. Now, the function of hormones, right, to make your life easier, you always can remember. The function, you can remember it in these two ways. Number 1, obviously, the actual function of the hormone. Means what does the hormone actually does to the female? Actual function, sorry. And the second function is how does each hormone stimulate the next hormone? I'll explain in a moment. Okay, so you can write down here how it stimulates the next hormone. And the fourth one is a bit special, which you need to know what occurs after day 22 of the menstrual cycle. In other words, which is if got fertilization and no fertilization, what will happen? So the last stage is we see whether got fertilization or not. Because if got fertilization, it will occur differently when there's no fertilization. Now, what does this mean? What does it mean by actual function and how it stimulates the next hormone? So in this 28 days, right, the hormones is actually secreted. The four hormones here, actually remember it as FOLP. Now you have to remember in this order because this is how the hormone will be secreted in the 28 days. F first, O, L, then T. So this, what does FOLP actually represents is this hormone? Follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, O, estrogen, LH, luteinizing hormone, and P, progesterone. So this is how I teach you all to remember. So the memorizing method a bit Chinese up. So remember F, the bad word F. I don't say here. Okay, F, or you can say fun. Fun. One F. Okay, fun with our 老婆. So 老婆actually means wife in Chinese. So husband always have fun with 老婆. Okay, so then you remember FSH, estrogen, LH, progesterone. Now, and then F and L is actually secreted by the pituitary gland. Okay, now I'm telling you which part of the body secretes it. So pituitary gland is the gland inside your brain, which is also known as the master endocrine gland, means the main gland in the hormone punya system, endocrine system, which is actually another chapter that one. So maybe we can do it in the future. So luteinizing hormone also it's produced in the pituitary gland. So F and L is pituitary gland, FSH, LH. Estrogen and progesterone, both of them are produced inside the ovary. But specifically by the follicle. So remember, we talk about the follicle cells surrounding oocyte. So follicles are inside the ovary. Progesterone is produced by just now that corpus luteum, which is technically also from the ovary, because corpus luteum comes from the ovary. Okay. Now, another thing also I want you to know is FOL, the first three hormones. These three hormones, we call them as hormones that have a positive feedback mechanism. What do you mean by that? Okay, you can write down here, positive feedback mechanism. Means, right, F, O, and L, right, once F is being secreted, FSH, it will have a positive feedback mechanism, means it will stimulate the body to secrete another hormone. That's called positive, which means when one thing increases, it will stimulate the next thing to increase, which in this case, when FSH is being produced, it will stimulate estrogen to be secreted. When estrogen is being secreted, also have positive, so it will stimulate the next hormone to be secreted, which is LH. LH then will stimulate the next hormone, progesterone. Understand? That's why once I have FSH, the next few hormones will continue to be secreted. It's because FSH stimulates the follicle to secrete estrogen. Estrogen stimulates the pituitary gland to secrete LH. LH then stimulates the corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. However, the last hormone, right, have a negative feedback mechanism. Negative feedback mechanism means the opposite. Means when one substance increases, it will inhibit, means it will prevent another thing from secreting. And likewise, if this substance decreases, it will stimulate the next one to increase, means I do the opposite. So positive means I follow, negative, opposite. Which means once I have progesterone, right, it will stop FSH from being secreted. And therefore, I stop the menstrual cycle. But however, once progesterone is stopped secreted, then FSH will continue to be secreted, and then everything will repeat again. Understand, ma? Can understand or not? So yeah, you just remember FOL, positive, stimulate the next, P, negative, it stops the next. Can Now, so right now what we're going to do here is we're going to write down the function of each hormone. So you can see, right, everything that I wrote in the boxes here, right, are basically these two things. these two, the actual function and how it stimulates the next hormone. It's basically all inside over here already, right? So starting that time, now this part actually not very important, so I write very small. So at the beginning, hypothalamus will actually, which is another part in your brain, which is in the brain punya chapter, will actually secrete something called GnRH, called gonotropine releasing hormone. If you're wondering how does that spell, it's called gonadotropin releasing hormone, whereby it will stimulate the pituitary gland to secrete the first hormone called FSH, the first hormone, F, fun. So the blank over here, I only write down the function. So the actual function. So the name, follicle stimulating, means I stimulate follicle. So basically, it stimulates development of follicle. So at the beginning of menstrual cycle, this hormone will stimulate the primary oocyte, the primary follicle to become secondary follicle. And therefore, the primary oocyte can complete meiosis 1 to become secondary oocyte. That's why you can see after puberty, so basically, the FSH, right, is secreted over here. Because as soon as the primary follicle becomes secondary, the primary oocyte can finish meiosis 1 to become secondary oocyte. And then this one is how it stimulates the next hormone. So basically, follicle stimulating hormone will stimulate the follicle cell to secrete the next hormone called estrogen. So estrogen will be secreted from here. So what does estrogen do? Estrogen, basically, you can write down here, stimulates. Okay, don't really stimulate. You can say repair. Repair first, repair and stimulate thickening of endometrium. So why I need to repair it is because menstruation just finished occurring. The endometrium just now break down already. So now I repair it, thicken it back, which is not a thicken here back, thicken. Now, an estrogen is going to stimulate the next hormone. So when there's estrogen, right, it will stimulate the pituitary gland to secrete more of the first hormone just now, and also the next hormone, LH. So now, my wall is already thickened already, which means the female punya body is ready for pregnancy. It is ready for the baby to grow over here. That's why LH is the hormone that is going to stimulate ovulation. So since the body is prepared for pregnancy already, ovulation can occur, means the secondary oocyte can come out and wait for sperm to come fertilize already. Because the body is ready, then only I release the secondary oocyte. So must be ready first. That's why estrogen must come first, then only LH, because I need to get ready the wall, then only the secondary oocyte can come out. So here I actually got one more explanation, which is just now really explained already, one which is the LH basically will stimulate the Graafian, G must capital, Graafian follicle to release the secondary oocyte. Okay, write short form here, secondary oocyte. Which is this process, remember, the Graafian follicle, okay, I draw here, release the secondary oocyte. So this is called ovulation. And at the same time, LH needs to stimulate the next hormone. Now, how does LH stimulate the next hormone? Because LH stimulates the formation of corpus luteum. Means it stimulates the Graafian follicle to become the corpus luteum. Okay, a bit chacha, sorry. Then it will then stimulate the corpus luteum to secrete the last hormone, progesterone. See that or not? So I stimulate the next hormone. And then corpus luteum is the last hormone, whereby progesterone. So Basically, now second oocyte come out already, which means sperm can come anytime. So what does progesterone do? Very similar to estrogen. Progesterone will just make sure that this wall further thickens, maintain this wall. But progesterone just make sure that this wall doesn't break down, because like I said, fertilization can happen anytime right now already. So what does progesterone do? Basically, you can say further develops or further thickens also can the endometrium and, so the first one same like estrogen, and also you can write the next one and enrich it with blood vessel. Means progesterone also help to form blood vessels inside the endometrium. Why do I need blood vessel? Like I said, the baby is going to grow there anytime. So I need these blood vessels to actually transport nutrients for the fetus in the future. So basically, I form more blood vessels here so that I can supply the nutrients for fetus in the future later on. No? Understand, right? Yeah, and then progesterone, how does it affect the next hormone? So progesterone basically inhibits LH and FSH. Because right now, I already have one secondary oocyte over here. Sperm could come anytime to fertilize it. So progesterone will prevent the next secondary oocyte to be secreted. If let's say progesterone, right, don't inhibit LH and FSH, right, which means ovulation is going to keep on happening, which means I will keep on releasing more and more secondary oocyte. Then do you think I'm going to have more than one babies? That's why I need to stop LH, stop FSH to prevent growth follicle and also prevent ovulation. So the menstrual cycle will stop here first. Understand? Okay, can yeah. So this is what the function of the hormones are. So now we will go through the menstrual cycle punya phases. Okay, so we actually have 4 phases. The first 5 days is menstruation. You have the first hormone, FSH. Day 6 to 12 is repair. So menstruation means wall breakdown, you need to repair. So just follow the hormone, estrogen. Day 14 occur for 1 day only, one ovulation, FOL, LH. And last one is called pre-menstruation stage, also as PMS, where you're going to have a last hormone, progesterone. Now, so basically, what do you need to know for menstrual cycle, right? For each stage, obviously you need to remember the stages, which I mentioned just now. And in each stages, you need to know what hormone do I have and what is the function of the hormone, which we already went through just now. Now, look at menstruation, the first 5 days. So we start off from the wall breakdown, first 5 days. Now, menstruation, a bit more thing to explain now, because menstruation is whereby you can say, like we mentioned just now, breakdown of uterus lining or breakdown of endometrium and discharge of blood through the vagina. So at the first stage, right, during menstruation, okay, I draw a line here, first 5 days. Basically, when menstruation occurs, right, all the hormone levels are low, apart from a bit of FSH. So since all the hormones are low, right, you can see absence of estrogen and progesterone. Remember, progesterone is negative feedback mechanism. That's why it will stimulate GnRH to be secreted and therefore stimulates FSH. So now you have to state the function of FSH. So write again yourself. Just now already wrote in front already one. So you just have to say FSH stimulates the development of follicles. And how does it develop next hormone? So FSH will basically stimulate follicles to secrete estrogen. And then wall breakdown already, ma. So now you have to repair the wall. That's why you have repair stage and you need estrogen, because estrogen is the one that repair and stimulate thickening of endometrium. Okay, write yourself thickening of endometrium. And then estrogen is going to stimulate the next hormone. So you can say I stimulate pituitary gland to secrete FSH and also mainly LH. Now, up to here, why do I still need FSH? Because just now it's only primary follicle becomes secondary. Primary oocyte becomes secondary oocyte. Now I need the secondary follicle to become the Graafian. That's why I still need FSH over here. Then once I become Graafian, LH stimulates the release of secondary oocyte. Okay, later I'll explain all of this. Okay, we go through here first. So, again, the function, we already mentioned just now. Then you can see LH then stimulate ovulation. So what is ovulation? Basically, the Graafian follicle release secondary oocyte. How it stimulates next hormone? So LH will stimulate the Graafian follicle to develop to corpus luteum, and then corpus luteum secretes progesterone. So same as just now. And then the last one, pre-menstruation stage. So pre-menstruation stage is right before menstruation. So this is where the body will prepare the female body for pregnancy. So as we mentioned, progesterone, since I need to prepare pregnancy, so I just maintain the walk. So just basically further develop the endometrium and also enrich it with blood vessels. And then basically this hormone will inhibit secretion because it's a negative. So how does it stimulate next hormone? Remember, the last hormone is negative feedback mechanism. So I will inhibit secretion of the first hormone and also LH actually. Now, then, okay, now let me use this diagram over here to explain more about the menstrual cycle. So maybe some of you will go through here, you still don't really get it. So what do we have here? Okay, look at here. This is basically the thickness of endometrium. Remember, when menstrual cycle occurs at the time, the endometrium wall will change. The thickness of endometrium is going to change. And also the level of hormones. So you can see, right, the endometrium thickness, right, is actually related to the secretion of hormones. So first, whenever we see like level of hormone punya graph like this, or you see the endometrium thickness like this, right, always divide it into the 4 stages we mentioned just now. So day 1 to 5, day 6 to around day 12, day 13, like that. Oops. Okay, you can draw a line up to here. And the one that occur for 1 day only, day 14, ovulation, and then day 15 onwards to the last stage. So I have 4 stages over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. FOLP. So whenever you see hormone punya graph or endometrium punya thickness, do this first. 4 stages, FOLP. So once you do that, right, because in questions, right, most of the time they will actually won't label the hormones one. They'll leave it blank. So a lot of times you need to identify the hormone based on the shape of the graph. So since you know FOLP already, right, basically in each stage, so you just have to find the highest hormone, then that will be the hormone that you just labeled over here. So for example, right, out of these 4 hormones, you can see, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. The highest is this one, so I know that this line is FSH. And the next one, I need estrogen to repair. That's why in this stage, this one is the highest, so this is estrogen. No? And that's why you can see at day 5 to day 12, your endometrium start to become thicker already because there's estrogen. Just now menstruation occur, that's why the wall break down. And then estrogen will stimulate FSH and most importantly, LH. That's why at day 14, LH is the highest. So over here, I know that L, third stage is L, so the highest one is LH. But obviously, your FSH also will increase slightly because you need your secondary to become Graafian follicle. Then when got LH, ovulation occur. And actually, LH is the easiest to recognize because LH will only peak for 1 day. Because ovulation will only occur for 1 day, right? Graafian follicle to release secondary oocyte is like done. It's a 1 day punya process only. That's why LH only peak for 1 day. And then after that, you have corpus luteum formed already. Corpus secretes progesterone. So progesterone increases, and then you can see the wall further thickens. Understand? Yes. But there's one very weird thing over here, which is you can see, right, the progesterone halfway through the last stage will start to decrease already. Yeah, which is around day 22 like that. So why? So now we're going to look at that. What happens after day 22? So like I said, the last thing we need to know is whether fertilization occurs or not. Okay, over here just now. So if fertilization occurs, you're going to need the endometrium because you're going to need the baby to grow at the endometrium. That's why corpus luteum remains. Why does corpus luteum remain? Because I need the progesterone to further develop the endometrium wall. Then only my fetus can grow, my embryo can grow. So therefore, when got corpus luteum, progesterone is secreted. Endometrium is further developed to support the growing embryo. So I need the endometrium here for the embryo for the fetus to grow later. So this is why when girls are pregnant, menstruation does not occur because your wall doesn't break down. Because when you have because now it's progesterone continue being secreted. Remember, progesterone is negative feedback mechanism. Means if I got progesterone, all the other hormones over here, F, O, L, will not be secreted. That's why the menstrual cycle stops. However, if fertilization doesn't occur, you don't need the wall already, right? That's why corpus luteum also got no function. Corpus luteum will degenerate. Look at the diagram here. So progesterone not secreted. Endometrium, you can say, breaks down. And that's why when there's no progesterone, the wall will not develop and then menstruation occur. So when no progesterone, then FSH will start to be secreted already. That's why I come back over here, look at this sentence. Absence of estrogen, progesterone, hypothalamus secreted GnRH, and then I will stimulate FSH and the whole thing will repeat again. So basically over here, this level, right, depends on whether got fertilization or not. So here when it goes down, means there's no fertilization. If got fertilization, right, this one will remain like this. And then your endometrium wall obviously also will remain. Is that clear? Understand? Yeah. So that's it for the menstrual cycle. So I think that's it. That's it. For today, I only will teach until here because here got no time already. So the other important things for chapter 15 is also remember this one, or the next part, which is how does a zygote become a fetus? And also very important, the placenta. Can? So this one you try to go through yourself. Behind will have questions. Answers I will post. I will give you a link later to actually get the answers. Okay, for those who are not my students. Can So we will do one question, one menstrual cycle punya question, and then I think that's it for today. The rest you try to do yourself. Okay, so let's look at question 3. Okay, fast one. So question 3 actually, behind this part actually in my YouTube video also I go through, but the question in the YouTube video is slightly different than this one but it's similar also. You also can go and look through it, quite same. So first one, name structure X. So female reproductive system, like what is this structure called? So this one very straightforward, right? This is your ovary. Yes. One function of the hormone secreted by X. So what is the hormone? So yes, the hormone secreted here is estrogen, right? So what is the function of that hormone? Estrogen is FO, the second hormone, FO alpha. So what does O do? It will, yes, repair and thicken. That's the keyword. Repair and stimulate the thickening of endometrium. Next one, A3. Now this one, something called ectopic pregnancy. Is the condition where fertilized egg does not implant on the uterus wall. Okay, this is something that is slightly out of syllabus one, but I could see questions asking before this, what we're doing here. So what do you mean by egg does not implant in the uterus wall? Means that sometimes, right, now, the endometrium, also known as the uterus wall, is whereby implantation of the embryo will occur. Means this is where the fetus will grow because it implants over here. Ectopic pregnancy, whereby it does not implant at the endometrium at the uterus wall. So which means sometimes the embryo might implant over here in the fallopian tube, or it might implant over here. This part is called the cervix. Here's the vagina. So that is called ectopic pregnancy, whereby the baby might, miscarriage will occur very easily because I'm not implanting at the correct place. So they ask us to draw Y, using a letter Y to indicate where ectopic pregnancy may occur. So I already draw for you already. So it could be here, could be here. But this Y draw down a bit because if you draw too up, it's the endometrium. You can draw slightly downwards a bit. Next question. Now, this is the main one, menstrual cycle. You can see here I got the graph of hormones. I also got the thickness of endometrium. So 4.2 shows development of follicle with the thickness of endometrium wall and the level of hormones during menstrual cycle. Okay, here actually I left out a few things. Help me label here phase U. I thought one U over here, if not mistaken. Let me check properly first. Yeah, U, I left out U there, just have to label. Now, number one, they say based on 4.2, name phase S and T during menstrual cycle. So like I said, divide it into the 4 stages, whereby here actually the question have you divide already. I mean for the endometrium, so you just draw the line down now here, and you have one more over here, of course. Can So write down first, FOLT. See, same one. Where does ectopregnancy happen there? Already, point for you already. Ectopic pregnancy, egg does not implant at the uterus wall. So like I say, it might implant at the cervix, might implant at the fallopian tube. Why? It's occur by chances or random error. Sometimes it just implant at the wrong place. Very hard to say one. Okay, sometimes the embryo will be stupid and trying to implant at the wrong place. So it might happen. It's chances one. Okay, very hard to explain why one, but yeah, it does happen sometimes. So name phase S and T. Okay, come this one here, phase S and T. So S, the first phase, that is Menstruation, yes, menstruation phase. Phase T, that's the last phase. So that is right before menstruation. So this is pre-PMS. Yeah, so this is where the girl will start to be a bit crazy, pre-menstruation stage. So the notes actually got show one, got explain why girls will have PMS. Because over here, right, the estrogen and progesterone levels start to decrease already. Where these are the two main hormones that give girls their mood, give girls their personality. So as these two hormones decrease, they will start to like feel a bit moody and not really themselves. That's why girls are a bit different during this stage. Okay. Next one, B2. In a space provided on diagram 2, draw based on the following information if fertilization occurs. So the keyword here are if fertilization occur. Condition of follicle on day 26 onwards. So if fertilization occur, so they ask you to draw over here. What happened to the follicle, which is obviously now become corpus luteum already? So what happened to my corpus luteum if got fertilization? So this is a follicle. What happened to my corpus luteum? Will it still be there? Yes, it continues to develop, means it will remain. No? Just draw the same thing only. Yeah, just draw like like a cloud bunch, a popcorn like that. Next one. Thickness of endometrium wall on day 26. So if got pregnancy, remember, corpus luteum remain, progesterone continue to secrete, so therefore it will go straight. Remain. Yes, correct. C. State the main hormones secreted during phase U and explain what happens. Phase U. So phase U, main hormone. Phase U. Yes, so this is, you can see, FO. This is where I start to repair the endometrium. Yeah, so the main hormone here is estrogen. What do? I stimulate, repair, again, and stimulate thickening of endometrium. All right, D. Something that is quite oftenly asked, but also a bit tough, but related to our syllabus one. Okay, look at here. They say, explain how contraceptive pills prevent the process N from occurring. So contraceptive pill is a so-called birth control pill, whereby girls, they take it to prevent pregnancy. So they want to do the thing, but they don't want to have baby. So contraceptive pill, how does it prevent process N? Process N is ovulation. Yes. So by the way, contraceptive pill actually prevents ovulation. So when there's no ovulation, means no secondary oocyte. No secondary oocyte means no fertilization. So they're asking us how. Now remember, inside contraceptive pill actually contains what we call as synthetic progesterone, means artificial progesterone. So now you got the answer. How does this progesterone prevent ovulation? So remember, progesterone has negative feedback mechanism. So which means it's going to inhibit LH and FSH. So no LH, then no process N, no ovulation. And that's how this pill controls birth. So you can say progesterone inhibits secretion. You can write both FSH and LH. Oh, by the way, in the exam, FSH, LH, you have to write the long name. So here I just write short form to save time. Follicle stimulating and luteinizing hormone. So therefore, you just mentioned no FSH means graphium follicle cannot develop, no LH, therefore, and ovulation cannot occur. E1. Can this one? So contraceptive period question, this is how you answer. Oh, by the way, a quick tip for you all. Okay. So by the way, contraceptive period is something that you have to take 1 month before you have sex. You cannot like today I take, then tomorrow I have sex. It won't work one. You have to take it 30 days in a row before you plan to do anything. And then usually I think you take already, it will last for, I'm not sure how long it will last. I think like a week like that. Of course, not good. These kind of things, of course, it's not good. So condom still better. Okay, next one, 4.3, last one, last few. So this is a very common question. You can see they give you ovary, then they show you the Graafian follicle over here, and then the process Y, and then you have X. So similar things that we went through just now. Name process Y. So again, process Y, we did this already just now. This is ovulation. Very good. Name hormone that stimulate process in D1. So what hormone stimulates ovulation? We just only did it a few seconds ago. It's your luteinizing hormone, LH. Next one, name structure Z. Okay, structure Z actually is this one. Z. What's that? What is structure Z? Structure Z is. Hello, this one like come last one already. Going to finish already. Sorry. Yes, that is the Graafian follicle. Yes. Last one. So you can see here a lot of empty space one. That's the Graafian follicle surrounding the secondary oocyte. Last one, structures X degenerate after the 8th week of pregnancy. Explain what happens after 8 weeks of pregnancy. So X, corpus luteum, right? So if corpus luteum degenerate after 8 weeks of pregnancy, what do you think will happen? You think the baby can still continue grow or not? If got no corpus luteum, cannot grow ma. So yes, what happened here is what we call as miscarriage occurs. Means the baby is going to drop out. Okay, why will the baby drop out? Is because no corpus luteum is the one that secretes progesterone ma. So no corpus luteum means no progesterone secreted lah. No progesterone means your endometrium is going to break down. And then your baby will drop out along with the endometrium. Okay, so in Chinese, you always say 流产 lah. So that is what happens because the endometrium here is where the baby is going to grow. So if the wall here breaks down, the baby that grow halfway also will drop out, cannot develop anymore. And that's what is miscarriage. So today we will stop until here. Okay, if you want the answers, okay, you just give me a few seconds. I put the link inside the chat box, you can get the answers. But for my student, I'll put in Google Classroom also later. So you all take this link. Wait, it's a Google Drive link. Inside it got the soft copy notes and also the answer inside. Okay, so the answer for other questions lah. So you can get it from inside there. Yeah, so this is that is all for today. So anything you all can ask me, WhatsApp me. Okay, you can follow my YouTube channel to see more videos. In the future, we'll have more. Okay, you can follow my Instagram account, or actually, I recently created my own account just called Deviant Biology, same as a YouTube name. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope that you'll benefit from this and you'll learn something. So any questions, you'll just WhatsApp me. That's it for today. Bye-bye. See you guys next week for my student. Bye-bye. The link there I post already. Hey, sorry. I just sent to one person, sorry. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye. You have a great day too, Brian. Bye-bye.